Hey folks, Alan Saunders joined by Mike Vikovkin for another episode of Pitt Panther Talk. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. Mike back at home in Pittsburgh, but some big Pitt news during the Senior Bowl today as
Hey folks,
Pitt
Alan
lost
Saunders joined by Mike
wide
Vikovkin
receivers
for another.
coach Chris Beatty, who will take the same job with the Los Angeles Chargers of the NFL. Uh, Obviously, a big recruiter and a big part of the coaching staff on offense for Pitt, and it will be a tough to replace loss, I imagine. Mike, what are your first thoughts on finding out that Chris Beatty's headed to the NFL?
Good for Coach Beatty. Bad for Pitt. Real bad for Pitt. It's one of those things that you and I both knew that this day was going to come. The guy's talented. If you look at his resume, he's been with a few different places. But it can't be overstated the impact he's had in only a few years here at Pitt. It's not going to be. I would put him in comparison with Charlie Partridge as far as his talent goes and the impact and the way he's able to reach recruits. If Charlie Partridge is their best recruiter, 1A, Chris Beatty is 1B and very close behind him. It's not going to be easy for Pitt to replace him.
No, I don't think it's going to be easy for them to replace him at all. And I think it's late in the cycle as well for coaches. I mean, it's not for an NFL coach, but it is for the college coaches that have kind of already gone through one whole cycle of coach replacements. But I think Pitt has an attractive job there. I mean, you look at the talent in that room with Jordan Addison, being able to coach him for 2 years. I think Jalen Barden, who just had his freshman season, is an up-and-coming player that's going to be really special. And you've got Kenny Pickett coming back for his fifth year as a starting quarterback. So the receivers, I mean, listen, this is a pass-oriented offense under Mark Whipple. It always has been. That's going to be the nature of this offense in 2021. And so I think it should be a pretty desirable job. I've already heard from some people that are interested in it, and I think Pitt's going to get a good candidate. So it's a big loss, and it's hard to quantify how big of a loss it's going to be. But I also think Pitt will be able to get a good coach in there and be able to listen. It's always a bad thing when you lose a good coach, but when you're losing coaches to the NFL because they're getting promoted, yeah, there may be a dip in the immediate aftermath, but that's generally the sign of a healthy college football program. That's what you want to be doing. You want to be sending coaches onward and upward. And I think actually one of the criticisms of Pat Narduzzi's tenure that you could make is that there haven't been enough of this. There hasn't been enough coaches getting promoted from Pitt. So, the fact that you're going to have now two of his former assistants, both in the same team, actually, Ronaldo Hill and Chris Beatty will both be with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that's a good thing more than is a bad thing. May hurt in the long run until Pitt gets a replacement up and running.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it's an attractive job, and they'll be able to find quality replacements. However, I'm looking at it I'm not looking on the football side. I know he had an impact, and who knows, the impact he had. I'm talking recruiting and the impact that they finally started to have after not being able to successfully recruit the state of Virginia. What they did this year, getting four guys, not just four guys, but four really good guys, 2 4-star guys. Last year, although it wasn't in Virginia, Beatty brought in Jordan Addison, their best star, without a doubt, their best player in the class of 2020. He played a role in that. I'm looking at recruiting side, and for that angle, they have no other guy that has that area. And when you look at has to replace, you could say moving people around, but it's not that easy. Recruiting is about relationships, ties that you have with your lifelong relationships you have with people in high schools in that area. And if I'm Pat Narduzzi, and we know recruiting is a lifeblood of any program, and that's why Pitt's in the top 20 this year. and a lot of it has to do with the kids they were able to attract. I'm going to Heather Like, and I'm finding somebody that has a deep history in recruiting that state, recruiting that area, Virginia, Maryland. I think they need to find somebody, and whether it's rating another ACC pro, whatever they need to do. I think that has to be priority one or 1B for this job, because they've made too much progress in 2 years in that area to just give it away.
Yeah, I'm not sure it has to be someone from that area. I mean, they have Andre Powell on the staff who does recruit DC as well, but I think it has to be a recruiter. It has to be someone that is going to be one of their top recruiters. I think that has to be this hire. If they hire somebody that has, I don't know, deep connections to Chicago, maybe say instead of Virginia, okay, like you could talk me into that. But I think it has to be someone that is going to contribute to their recruiting the way that Beatty did. I mean, you look down the Pitt's class of 2021, and he was involved in every one of their high-level recruits that was not from this area. I mean, whether it was as a position coach or as an area recruiter or just as a guy that's, knows a lot of people in the college, in high school football realms, he's an important guy to this class. And like you said, ranked in the top 25 for the first time in a long time does not happen without Chris Beatty. There's no question in my mind. And I think it will be more difficult to replace him as a recruiter. And it's hard to find that both, right? I mean, like sometimes you have guys that are good recruiters that are not necessarily the best X's and O's coaches on the field. It is difficult to find somebody that can do both. And I think Beatty did a very good job of bridging that gap. And obviously other people thought so too, because guys that are only good recruiters don't get NFL jobs. There ain't no recruiting to be done there. You have to be a pretty good position coach to be looked at to move forward. And obviously some people think that he was. And I thought that when he was here, something I saw on Twitter, I guess I'll bounce it off you. Do you think this doesn't happen if he had been offered a promotion this offseason? I'm not sure that he wasn't. Let's just put that out there. But maybe some kind of co-offensive coordinator or something like that. Do you think that would have made any difference here?
No. In fact, I know it wouldn't, because right after the news broke, I talked with, and we're going to be having this as a diehard story a little bit later on this evening. I talked to Beatty on the phone about that very topic. And he mapped it out pretty well. It hurt him to leave Pitt. I don't want to give too much of it away, but he has a relationship. He's coached with I'm not familiar right off the top of my head with the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers right now, but he had previous coaching stops with him.
Brandon Staley is the new head coach of the Chargers.
Yeah, one of them was at Northern Illinois, and he told me that as soon as he got the job, he heard his friend got the job. He had it in his back of his mind that he could be approached for this job, and which is exactly what happened. So no, he wasn't looking to leave. I'm not going to give it away, but I talked to him. You could tell he was a little bit torn about that, because he talked a lot about the kids he brought into this program and leaving them, and also his position group and how talented he thinks they are. So no to that question. He wasn't Pitt could offered him. He could have been Pitt's offensive coordinator, and it was a dream to get. It was the NFL is the highest level, and he wasn't going to pass that up.
Yeah, how about that? The NIU connections. Funny how that always comes up. Joe Novak built that program, and obviously Beatty was there, but Pat Narduzzi and Matt Canada, PJ Fleck, and there's been a couple other ones too from those coaching staffs there. That Jerry Kill was the head coach there, and then lots of coaches come from the NIU program. Interesting how.
Not enough people put. I know you do, and people that really follow college football do, but not enough. The general fan out there doesn't give. I don't know if gives enough respect to how talented some of those coaches are in the MAC and some of these other programs. Just because you're not coaching at a Power 5 program, they just need that opportunity, and then they go from there. And I think that's just another example of that staff was or people that coached there in another MAC programs and other programs, not just the MAC. So definitely talent, and now it's going to be interesting. Pat thought he filled his linebackers coach position, and he was going to be done for the offseason. Now I'm sure he has a short list, or obviously with Beatty. And I think, to be honest, too, with Archie Collins, I'll throw his name out there because he probably rises up now to Pitt's second best recruiter. And he's a guy that's going to be in demand. He's going to be an offensive or defensive coordinator one day with the program sooner rather than later. And coaches and athletic directors always talk about having a short list of guys that could be replacements for guys that they believe are candidates. And I'm sure Narduzzi has that. Probably didn't think he was going to have to use it this year, but tough break. But I'm happy for Chris, and we'll see how they are able to replace them. I was going to actually look at some of the 2022 recruits that Chris was involved in. In fact, he actually just offered. He didn't want me to bring this up, but now that he's gone, it's not that big deal now. Some of these eighth graders that Pitt actually offered, eighth and ninth graders from the Virginia area that he was starting to make relationships with, and he didn't really want to. He didn't want to highly emphasize that for the fact that they were so young, but he knew how talented they were, and he was planning on recruiting those guys. And I'm sure there's guys in the classes of 2023, 2024 that he's already offered and had relationships with now. So we're going to find out who's going to pick up their recruiting.
Yeah, it's important, and I guess I think the Virginia area has got a lot of talent, and I don't think that the schools in that area have done a particularly good job of locking it down and making it tough for other teams to come in there. So that's an enticing area, but I don't think it has to be Virginia. But they got to get some. Listen, we've talked about this for a long time. There are not enough Power 5 recruits in Western Pennsylvania to sustain a program. Florida is obviously talent rich, but every school in the country is going there to get those kids. The Pitt has to have other areas that it can pull from. I think they've done a good job in the past with what Tim Salem's done in New Jersey. I feel like what Archie Collins is doing in Georgia and in Michigan is promising, but they need more. They need more than that. And I think they've got some other good recruiters on the staff. You mentioned Archie Collins. I think Corey Sanders is a really underrated recruiter. I think he's very good. Tim Salem's been a good recruiter for a long time. But they need more, and this is not an easy place to recruit to. Like, let's not, mince words. Like, it's not like this is a place where everybody who's coming to Pitt is just recruited well. Like, it's not been like that. And Beatty has been the exception rather than the rule, and so I think that's why there's probably some trepidation about having to replace him. But that is life in college football. You're always recruiting players, and you're always recruiting coaches, and if you do a good job, that part of it goes by even quicker. So I wonder, Pat Narduzzi was down here in Mobile yesterday at the Senior Bowl practice and then quickly left town. I wonder if he's trying to find some new receivers coach already. Would not surprise me if he's already on that because, like I said, it is fairly late in the process for college recruiting or college coaching changes to be made.
Yeah, now that this has happened, I'm going to actually start. There might be some guys, and I think you hit upon the top thing is this guy has to be able to recruit, and you don't know guys that are let go, former head coaches, or guys that are top recruiters. I'm sure he's on the phone with that already, although the university hasn't announced it yet, but it's going to be open. It'll be public here. As far as there goes, as far as they're concerned here soon. So we'll see. But I had one question for you. I was watching a little bit of the Senior Bowl practice yesterday. One guy that seemed to be getting a little bit more attention than I expected, Weaver and Jones. We expected that. We know that they're going to be, second day picks, who knows, maybe first, second round picks. DeMar Hamlin was getting a lot of love from Todd McShay. Louis Riddick and some of those guys, and Mike Talibon for his play and his character. Have you been hearing the Damar Hamlin buzz down in Mobile?
I have a little bit. I mean, character, like, I mean, if you know DeMar, like, good kid, smart, understands football, played a ton, just a ton of experience. When you think about how much he's played, getting that extra year to come back to Pitt, he really spent 4 years as a starting safety. But the other thing is, like, when you think safety, Damar Hamlin played man coverage. He just played it from 10 yards off the ball. Like, what Pitt has their safeties do is more difficult than what a lot of teams ask their cornerbacks to do from a coverage standpoint. So for him to go up against a receiver in one-on-one and do some drills, for a lot of safeties, that's like foreign territory. But you put him in that environment, that's no big deal. Like, oh, I only have to cover him from the line of scrimmage. I don't have to do it from 7 yards off the ball. Oh, well, that's no big deal. Like, this is what Pitt does. And so I think that really put him in a good position to have some success. I was really focused on the linemen, both because I wanted to see how Reaver and Jones did, and also I think the Steelers are going to take some linemen pretty high in this draft. So I was really over there the first couple of days, but got to watch Damar a good bit yesterday. And he's a really good cover safety when asked to do those one-on-one things. That is what you kind of do here at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, they're practicing for the game, but it's mostly about evaluation for the NFL scouts that are here. And so they do a lot of those one-on-one type things, and he's done really well. The thing that's kind of disappointing is the scheme for the game is very bland. They just play like base cover 3, cover 2 shells. And so for a safety, he's going to be far away from the ball a lot. It's probably going to be difficult for him to make a ton of plays way back there, 15 yards off the ball kind of thing. But I think in the drills, he's really stood out. And I think in the interview process, he's a guy that can really show his maturity and his knowledge of the game. I think that's something that at that position you really look for. Like, safety is probably just as much about where to go as it is knowing where to go as it is having the physical and athletic ability to get there, right? Like, if you're going the wrong direction as a safety, it doesn't matter how fast you are. In fact, fast in the wrong direction is just as bad and so, I think in a year actually where, the Senior Bowl has become so much more important this year because there's not going to be a combine. And I actually think it really fits guys whose play, I think, shows up better on game day. And I think Damar Hamlin is one of those guys. Like, I'm not sure that if we had a combine, he would have had the most impressive combine performance if you lined him up with the rest of the safeties. He's never struck me as like being, ridiculously fast for his position. He's not, physically big or any kind of just unique. He's not the fastest, not the tallest, not the strongest, not going to be the best athlete. But I think when he puts the helmet on, you put him on the field, he does a really good job. And I think in an interview, he's mature and smart. And so I think that this environment has been really good for him. And also Jimmy Morrissey is going to be coming down. Just found that out today. He has not practiced all week, so he's just going to get thrown into the game. I guess they had some injuries or something. But that'll be fun to see Jim. And that's another guy that is a real student of the game. And I don't know if he'll get to do any interviews with the team coming in late, but he's certainly an impressive interview as well. Somebody that I think if he gets an opportunity to show what he's all about, will also make a positive impression.
All right, coverage will be coming up here, but we just wanted to step in here, and we'll be having coverage. Like I said, I will have an interview with Chris momentarily on the site, and it's time to start snooping around to find out who their new wide receivers coach is, because this will no doubt be a big hire for Pat Narduzzi.
Yeah, I think so too. And we'll start. I've actually already got like a good list of candidates I'm working through. Got to start talking to some people. And like I said, I think there's a lot of good options for this job. I don't think they will have a hard time finding a coach, but it will be difficult for that coach to be as good in that role as Chris Beatty was.
All right, Alan. Safe travels back to Pittsburgh after the game, and we'll look forward to your coverage both on Pittsburgh Sports Now and Steelers Now.
All right. Alan Saunders, Mike Vukovkin. Thanks for watching Pittsburgh Sports Live. Pitt Panther